Angela's picture-perfect life. When Angela Craig made herself a protein shake that March morning, she didn't know it would be her last. The drink, lovingly prepared by her husband, contained a secret that would unravel their picture-perfect life in suburban Colorado. Aurora, Colorado, was a picture-perfect place for families, and Angela Craig embodied its heart. A mother of 6, she poured her energy into her home, church, and community. Her kindness was unforgettable, her radiant smile a source of comfort. Angela had a way of making everyone feel seen and valued, whether family, friend, or stranger. Her marriage to James Craig seemed equally flawless. As a successful dentist, James was well regarded for his charm and dedication, making them appear the ideal couple. Together, they represented the image of a faith-filled, thriving family. But appearances can be deceiving, and the Craig household hid struggles no one could have imagined. In March 2023, Angela's life took a sudden, devastating turn. Mild dizziness and headaches quickly spiraled into unexplained severe symptoms. On March 6th, she sought medical help for the first time, leaving doctors baffled. Despite repeated hospital visits, her condition worsened. By March 15th, Angela was on life support, leaving her family in shock, struggling to understand how her health had failed so suddenly. The mystery of Angela's decline raised troubling questions. How could such a vibrant woman fall so gravely ill without warning? As loved ones searched for answers, subtle but disturbing signs began to surface, clues that hinted at something far more sinister. Beneath the Craig family's outward harmony, a chilling truth lurked in the shadows, and the person Angela trusted most, her husband James, was at the center of it. A betrayal so profound that it would unravel everything her family thought they knew about love and trust. Angela's background, the foundation of her life. Angela was born on April 15, 1975, in Dodge City, Kansas, into a lively, close-knit family. As the 6th of 10 siblings, her childhood was filled with laughter, love, and a deep sense of togetherness. Angela had a magnetic personality. Sharp-witted and warm, she became the center of every gathering. Her genuine care for others left an indelible mark on everyone she met. Even with allergies, Angela adored animals. It was just one example of her caring nature. Her creative talents extended to interior design and woodworking, hobbies that showcased her ability to turn spaces into comforting sanctuaries. Angela's meticulous care for details reflected the thoughtfulness she poured into every aspect of her life. Family was the cornerstone of Angela's world. Her bond with her siblings, especially her sister Toni, remained strong throughout her life. Daily conversations and shared memories with Toni were a source of joy and connection. Angela also found passion in genealogy, helping others trace their roots and bring families closer together, a testament to her love of unity and history. On December 18, 1999, Angela married James Craig, a man determined to become a dentist. Their marriage appeared to hold all the promise of a bright future. Angela supported James through his education, and by 2006, he earned his doctorate in dental surgery. The couple moved to Aurora, Colorado, where James built a thriving dental practice. Angela became the heart of their growing family, managing the household with grace and serving her church as a choir director and youth leader. Over 23 years, Angela and James welcomed 6 children, and Angela thrived in her role as a mother. Her days were a flurry of school drop-offs, community work, and family gatherings. Her unwavering love and care for her children became the defining element of her life. Despite her packed schedule, Angela always found time for her church and community, leaving her mark as a compassionate and selfless leader. Yet, beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life, Angela sometimes confided in Toni about the pressures of managing a bustling household. While she rarely complained, there were fleeting moments when she expressed feeling overwhelmed. James's increasing preoccupation with his work didn't go unnoticed, but Angela, ever the optimist, chose to focus on the positives in their life. In early March 2023, Angela returned home from a visit with Tony, brimming with excitement to resume her daily routines and share stories from her trip. But within days, her health took an alarming turn. Dizziness, nausea, and persistent headaches began to plague her. At first, Angela remained hopeful, seeking medical attention on March 6th. Doctors found nothing alarming and sent her home with basic medication. But her condition worsened. By March 9th, she was back in the hospital, her symptoms escalating. Despite more tests, no answers emerged. Angela, calm on the surface, tried to reassure her loved ones, but the fear in her eyes betrayed her growing unease. How could someone so full of life suddenly be struck by such mysterious and severe illness? As Angela's family stood by helplessly, questions loomed large. Was it simply a medical mystery, or was there something more sinister lurking beneath the surface? Unanswered, these questions cast a dark shadow over the Craig family's life. The first signs: Angela's health decline. March 2023 brought an unsettling shift in Angela's life. Once a vibrant woman with boundless energy, Angela began experiencing a series of troubling symptoms that worsened with each passing day. Her health first faltered shortly after she returned from visiting her sister Tony in Utah. Initially, the symptoms seemed like nothing more than exhaustion: mild dizziness, occasional nausea, and headaches. But what started as manageable discomfort soon spiraled into something much more concerning. On March 6th, Angela sought medical help for the first time. Routine tests revealed nothing unusual. Doctors prescribed medication, assuming the issue was temporary, and sent her home to rest. Angela, ever optimistic, hoped the worst was behind her. Yet within days, her symptoms worsened. By March 9th, Angela's condition had deteriorated to the point where she was back in the hospital. This time, her dizziness was so severe that walking became a struggle, and the relentless nausea left her unable to eat. Her blood pressure was alarmingly low, but even with extensive testing, including blood work, brain scans, and ultrasounds, the doctors were unable to find a cause. Angela's family grew deeply concerned. Her children, too young to understand the gravity of the situation, noticed their mother's absence and her increasingly frail state. Angela's sister Tony, who spoke to her daily, was alarmed by how weak Angela sounded on their calls. The once vibrant woman they knew seemed to be slipping away, and no one could explain why. On March 15th, Angela woke up in excruciating pain. Crippling dizziness, severe nausea, and unbearable stomach pain left her incapacitated. Unable to reach her husband James at his dental clinic, she called her brother, who immediately rushed her to the hospital. By the time they arrived, Angela's condition had taken a drastic turn. Her blood pressure was critically low, and she showed signs of severe neurological distress. Within hours, she suffered a seizure and became unresponsive. Doctors placed her on life support, while her family could only watch helplessly, clinging to hope as her condition worsened. James arrived at the hospital shortly after Angela was admitted. He stayed by her side, updating concerned friends and family members about her condition. To those on the outside, he appeared to be a devoted husband. But to those closest to Angela, something about his behavior seemed off. He was attentive but strangely detached, his concern seeming rehearsed rather than genuine. This subtle disconnect left those around him with a nagging sense of unease. Angela's friends, Ryan and his wife, visited the hospital to offer their support. Ryan, a fellow dentist and James's longtime friend, couldn't ignore the feeling that something wasn't right. His wife, a nurse, pointed out that Angela's symptoms, severe dizziness, nausea, and dangerously low blood pressure, closely resembled cases of poisoning she had encountered in medical studies. The couple's suspicions quietly deepened, though neither spoke them aloud at first. At James's dental office, Caitlin, the practice's office manager, was beginning to piece together a troubling picture. On March the 6th, the same day Angela's symptoms began, James had unexpectedly arrived at the office after hours. Caitlin found it unusual that he used a computer in one of the exam rooms instead of his personal office. Later that evening, he sent her a message about a package he was expecting and gave strict instructions to ensure its confidentiality, emphasizing that no one else should open it. The package arrived on March 13th. A colleague accidentally opened it before Caitlin could intervene, but she resealed it and handed it to James. What she saw inside left her uneasy. A cylindrical container with a hazardous materials label that read potassium cyanide. At the time, Caitlin assumed it must have had some legitimate medical or dental use. But as Angela's condition worsened and suspicions grew, Caitlin's unease turned into fear. Unable to ignore the disturbing coincidence, Caitlin searched online for information about potassium cyanide. What she found was horrifying. The symptoms of cyanide poisoning, nausea, dizziness, and critically low blood pressure, matched Angela's condition almost exactly. Caitlin was shaken but hesitant to act, fearing the consequences of her discovery. How could she accuse her employer, a respected dentist and seemingly devoted husband, of something so sinister? As Angela lay unresponsive in the hospital, James's composed exterior began to crumble. His behavior, initially attentive, now appeared unnervingly calculated. Caitlin, unable to shake her suspicions, confided in Ryan about the package and her findings. Ryan, already unsettled by James's demeanor, decided to confront him. In a tense conversation, Ryan questioned James about the potassium cyanide. At first, James deflected, claiming it was for a dental experiment. But as Ryan pressed further, James's calm facade cracked. He admitted to purchasing the cyanide but claimed Angela had asked him to do so. A bizarre and unconvincing explanation. Why would Angela, a woman with no known interest in such substances, request something so dangerous? And if she had, why hadn't James raised an alarm? The cracks in James's story widened when he began sending Ryan panicked text messages, pleading with him to keep their conversation private. James insisted that involving the police would only make matters worse and begged Ryan to trust him. But Ryan's trust was already eroding. The more he thought about James's explanations, the more they failed to add up. Meanwhile, investigators were connecting the dots. Surveillance footage from March 6th showed James using a computer in the exam room, a deviation from his routine that suggested he was trying to avoid detection. His internet search history, obtained through a warrant, revealed chilling queries such as how much cyanide is fatal, symptoms of cyanide poisoning, and can cyanide poisoning mimic other illnesses. These searches, conducted in the weeks leading up to Angela's illness, painted a picture of premeditation. The investigation also uncovered purchases made by James. Alongside the potassium cyanide, he had ordered crystalline arsenic, a highly toxic substance, using his professional credentials to obtain it. The receipts and the timing of these purchases aligned too closely with Angela's symptoms to be coincidental. The evidence painted a disturbing narrative of a man who had meticulously planned his wife's poisoning. When Ryan shared his suspicions with the hospital staff, a nurse agreed to conduct additional tests for cyanide. The results were conclusive. Angela had been poisoned. The confirmation sent shockwaves through the hospital and Angela's family. James, the man they had trusted and relied on, was now the prime suspect in her suffering. As more evidence emerged, the facade James had carefully maintained began to collapse. His internet searches, the package, and his erratic behavior painted a picture of a man with a dark and deliberate plan. But the question remained, why? Was it financial desperation, an attempt to cover up an extramarital affair, or something even darker? The answers lay in the growing pile of evidence, a case that would soon expose the depths of James's betrayal and unravel the lives of everyone who had trusted him. The sinister evidence, online searches, and purchases. As investigators delved deeper into James Craig's life, the layers of his meticulously concealed actions began to unravel. The respected dentist, once seen as a pillar of the community, harbored chilling secrets that pointed to premeditated betrayal. Angela's sudden health decline, once shrouded in mystery, was revealed to be the result of a calculated plan devised by the very man she trusted most. The turning point came when investigators accessed James's internet history. The searches they uncovered were shocking. How much cyanide is fatal? Symptoms of cyanide poisoning? And can cyanide poisoning be detected in an autopsy? These weren't isolated queries. James had also researched undetectable poisons and the effects of arsenic, demonstrating a cold and methodical approach. The horrifying specificity of his searches left no doubt about his intentions. This digital trail matched James's suspicious purchase of potassium cyanide, a lethal chemical he had acquired using his dental credentials. Delivered to his office just days before Angela fell ill, the package raised eyebrows among his staff. Caitlin, the office manager, had handled the package and noticed its hazardous materials label. Her subsequent research into cyanide poisoning aligned unsettlingly with Angela's symptoms. As investigators pieced this together, they also discovered James had purchased crystalline arsenic, a toxic substance, further implicating him. The timeline was damning. On March 6th, the day Angela's symptoms began, James's behavior raised suspicions. Surveillance footage showed him accessing a computer in an exam room instead of his personal office, a deviation from routine that investigators believed was an attempt to avoid scrutiny. That same day, he prepared a protein shake for Angela, a detail he casually mentioned at the office, portraying himself as a caring husband. But the timing made it impossible to ignore the connection between the shake and Angela's sudden decline. Adding to the mounting evidence were videos found in James's viewing history, such as top 5 undetectable poisons that don't show signs of murder and how to make plant-based poisons. These videos left no room for ambiguity. James had studied how to execute his plan with precision, intending to evade detection. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered emails that painted a picture of deception. James had instructed Caitlin to ensure confidentiality regarding the potassium cyanide package, emphasizing that no one else should open it. This demand, paired with his erratic behavior at the office, heightened suspicions. Caitlin's findings, combined with Angela's symptoms, became a pivotal moment in the case. Perhaps the most chilling discovery came from James's personal life. Emails revealed an ongoing affair with Karen, a Texas orthodontist. Their correspondence detailed plans for Karen to visit him in Colorado, conveniently overlapping with Angela's hospitalization. One email, titled "See You Soon," expressed Karen's regret for not being closer to James during the crisis, but hinted at their excitement for the future. Investigators uncovered that James had purchased Karen's flight on the same day he ordered arsenic, revealing a level of planning that was both calculated and heartless. Financial records shed further light on James's motives. His dental practice was struggling under massive debt, and the Craig family faced financial ruin. Angela held 3 life insurance policies that would provide significant payouts upon her death. It became clear that James intended to use this money to escape his troubles and begin a new life with Karen. The pieces of the puzzle formed a horrifying image: a man willing to destroy his family for personal gain. The brutality of James's actions shook even seasoned investigators. For Angela's family, the emotional toll was devastating. Her sister Toni recalled Angela's occasional suspicions about James over the years, doubts that had once been dismissed but now seemed painfully prescient. The realization that Angela had been right all along weighed heavily on Toni's heart. Despite the overwhelming evidence, questions remained. How long had James been planning this? Were there earlier attempts to harm Angela that went unnoticed? And most hauntingly, how could a man feign love and concern for his wife while orchestrating her suffering? As the investigation moved toward prosecution, the answers to these questions would continue to unravel, leaving an indelible mark on everyone touched by Angela's tragic story. The truth unfolds, testimonies and relationships. As the investigation deepened, The evidence against James Craig was reinforced by emotional testimonies from Angela's family and close friends. These accounts not only solidified the case but also revealed cracks in the Craig family's seemingly perfect life. What unfolded was a haunting narrative of manipulation, betrayal, and calculated cruelty. Angela's sister Toni became a key figure in uncovering the truth. For years, Angela had confided in Toni about her struggles with James, often describing moments of unease that hinted at something more sinister. Toni recounted how Angela had once feared James might have drugged her during a disagreement years earlier. At the time, the suspicion felt too shocking to believe and was dismissed without proof, but in hindsight, it carried chilling significance. Angela had also shared her desire to leave James during particularly difficult times in their marriage. His erratic behavior and emotional distance weighed heavily on her. Yet every time Angela tried to assert her independence, James found ways to manipulate her into staying, whether through promises to change, appeals to their children, or emotional coercion. Now, in light of Angela's tragic fate, Toni couldn't help but wonder if her sister's illness was the culmination of years of control and dominance. The accounts of Angela's 6 children painted a starkly different picture of their mother than the one James had attempted to portray. While James claimed Angela struggled with depression and self-harm, her children described a mother who was vibrant, loving, and full of life. Angela's days were filled with family dinners, church activities, and laughter that her children cherished. Her sudden illness and decline were as baffling to them as they were heartbreaking, and their recollections starkly contrasted James's narrative. Ryan, James's close friend and business partner, added another layer to the case. He revealed a conversation from 2021 when James confided that his dental practice was struggling and that he was considering divorce. James had mentioned that his marriage to Angela felt strained, but he had also hinted at her alleged self-harm tendencies. At the time, Ryan dismissed these remarks, seeing them as exaggerated venting. Now he realized James may have been planting a false narrative, a preemptive defense for actions he had been contemplating. Perhaps the most damning revelations came from James's affair with Karen, a Texas orthodontist. Investigators uncovered intimate emails revealing their deep relationship and plans for a future together. Karen, who had filed for divorce from her own husband in 2022, exchanged messages with James that were filled with romantic promises and excitement about their new life. One email, sent during Angela's hospitalization, expressed Karen's regret for not being closer to him during such a difficult time, but ended with optimism about reuniting soon. The dates of Karen's planned visits eerily coincided with Angela's hospitalization, painting a chilling picture of James's intentions. Financial records further clarified James's motives. His dental practice was on the brink of collapse, and the family faced over $2 million in debt. Angela, unaware of the full extent of their financial troubles, held 3 life insurance policies that would provide substantial payouts in the event of her death. It became clear that James viewed Angela's death as a solution to his financial woes and a way to fund his new life with Karen. For Angela's family, the revelations were unbearable. They had always seen James as a devoted husband and father, someone who shared Angela's faith and dedication to their children. Discovering that he could betray her so completely, and in such a cruel, calculated way, left them reeling. The man they had trusted was a stranger, capable of unimaginable acts. Even as the case against James grew stronger, questions lingered. Had Angela suspected how far James would go to escape his life? How long had he been planning her death? And what kind of man could destroy the very family he had vowed to protect? For Angela's loved ones, these unanswered questions only deepened their grief and disbelief, making their search for justice all the more urgent. The arrest, Angela's final moments. On March 18, 2023, Angela Craig's life came to a heartbreaking end. After days of battling mysterious and debilitating symptoms, she was declared brain dead. At 4:29 p.m., Angela was removed from life support, surrounded by family who could do nothing but grieve the vibrant, loving woman they had lost. The hospital room, once filled with hope, was now overcome with an unbearable weight of despair. Angela's children clung to one another, their innocent faces etched with confusion and sorrow as they struggled to understand why their mother was gone. In the silence that followed Angela's passing, the puzzle pieces began to fall into place. Toxicology results confirmed what her close friends Ryan and Caitlin had feared. Angela had been poisoned with potassium cyanide. The discovery turned a tragic medical mystery into a criminal investigation, and suspicion quickly turned toward James Craig. The very next day, March 19th, police arrived at the Craig family home to arrest James. The quiet suburban neighborhood was disrupted by the sound of sirens as officers led James away in handcuffs. His demeanor was unsettlingly calm, betraying little of the storm now enveloping him. Inside the home, Angela's children watched from a window, grappling with the horrifying reality that their father, the man they trusted and adored, could be responsible for their mother's death. James's arrest marked a critical turning point. With him in custody, the mountain of evidence came into sharp focus. Investigators laid out a chilling narrative. The online searches for undetectable poisons, the purchases of potassium cyanide and arsenic, and the carefully planned timeline of Angela's symptoms. Each discovery revealed the meticulous and calculated nature of James's actions, driven by financial desperation and his desire to escape his life with Angela. The courtroom scene was as surreal as it was devastating. When James appeared before the judge in an orange jumpsuit, the confident dentist and family man was unrecognizable. His children, now grappling with the dual loss of their mother and the betrayal of their father, sat silently in the gallery, their faces marked with disbelief and sadness. The judge, acknowledging the severity of the charges, set James's bail at $10 million, ensuring he would remain behind bars until his trial. As the charges of first-degree premeditated murder and tampering with evidence were read, the transformation of James Craig into a man accused of unimaginable cruelty became undeniable. In the days following his arrest, more details came to light, deepening the tragedy. Investigators uncovered emails between James and Karen, the woman he was having an affair with. These messages revealed that James had been planning to reunite with Karen just days after Angela's death. Financial records showed that James had been relying on Angela's life insurance payouts to fund his new life. Each revelation painted a clearer picture of a man who had calculated the destruction of his family for his own selfish gain. For Angela's family, the devastation was overwhelming. The betrayal by someone they had trusted so deeply left them reeling, but they were determined to step in and care for her 6 children. Shielding the youngest from the full extent of the tragedy, they focused on preserving Angela's memory as a loving, devoted mother. In their grief, they found a small measure of solace in Angela's final selfless act: organ donation. Through this choice, Angela had saved multiple lives, a legacy of hope and compassion that reflected the way she had lived. Yet, for those closest to Angela, questions lingered. How long had James been planning this? Had Angela ever suspected that the man she had loved and supported for decades was capable of such betrayal? And, most haunting of all, could anyone have stopped him before it was too late? As the investigation moved toward trial, Angela's family and friends could only hope that justice would bring some measure of closure to a loss that could never truly be reconciled. The aftermath. A legacy of betrayal and strength. In the aftermath of Angela Craig's tragic death, the stark difference between her legacy and James's actions was painfully clear. Angela was a beacon of kindness, selfless, loving, and deeply dedicated to her family and community. Her life ended in betrayal, but her final act of organ donation reflected the goodness that defined her. Even in death, Angela gave others the gift of life, ensuring her spirit lived on in a way that could never be tarnished by James's actions. Angela's children were left to grapple with a devastating reality: the loss of their mother at the hands of their father. Her family, heartbroken yet resolute, rallied around them, vowing to shield them from further pain. They focused on celebrating Angela's warmth, her strength, and her unwavering devotion to her loved ones, refusing to let the tragedy define her memory. Yet, James's actions cast a shadow that would take years for the family to overcome. The investigation revealed the depths of James's betrayal. A once admired dentist and family man, he meticulously plotted Angela's murder, driven by greed, infidelity, and desperation. Banking on financial gain and freedom to start a new life, James's plan unraveled, leaving him to face the consequences of his actions. His trial, set for December 2024, will undoubtedly draw attention as the world seeks to comprehend how a man could destroy his own family so profoundly. Angela's story is a sobering reminder of the hidden dangers behind even the most picturesque facades. Her death has ignited conversations about trust, manipulation, and the need to recognize signs of abuse, conversations that may prevent others from facing a similar fate. As her family moves forward, they are determined to honor Angela's legacy. The questions surrounding her death may linger, but her memory shines brighter. Angela Craig will be remembered for the joy she brought, the lives she touched, and the lasting strength she gave to those around her. A testament to a life that, despite its tragic end, was filled with love and light. CTA. Angela's story is a powerful reminder of the unseen battles some face. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to help spread awareness and keep Angela's legacy alive.